people are not allowed to walk outside of the gate. Most of the settlements are fenced. You're not allowed to go out of the fence. As if you go out of the fence, you might get hurt because you're not protected. As if the fence is what's protecting you, but it's some kind of a mind barrier more than a physical barrier.
Hi everyone, this is another episode of Golda's Girls. My name is Carla van Balsem. Today my co-host is Rachel Rappaport, and we have two beautiful guests from Israel. We have Gila Slonim and Malkiel Bar-Hal. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so happy you're here, and I can't wait to hear more of your story.
Thank you.
Malkiel Bar-Hal is the mayor of Evyatar, a growing Jewish community in Samaria, Shomron, established by the Nachala movement. He helped this community grow from 7 to 27 families. He is a former IDF soldier who has studied Torah, been involved with education, equine therapy, agriculture, and youth work. And he is also involved in Nachala's mission to redeem and rebuild the land of Israel. Gila Slonim, originally from Australia, has a background in Hasbara, public relations, and strategic communication to the Nachala movement and its mission of renewing Jewish settlement across Israel. She's a member of Nachala's development team and works to build awareness and support for new Jewish communities in Yehuda and Shomron. Additionally, she is also the founder of the Jewish School of Crystal Healing and travels internationally as an educator and speaker. Wow, that's an impressive kind of background for both of you. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, I want to talk to you about the equine therapy, Malkiel, and also a little bit about the Crystal Healing School, because I think they're both very interesting. And then we'll get into the Israel questions.
Sure.
So Malkiel, can you talk a little bit about the equine therapy?
Sure. I've been involved with horses actually since I'm a child. My parents had kind of a tour place. We had two heavy horses that pulled the carriage. I grew up with that, and later on when I got married, my father-in-law is originally from New Zealand and he has horses, so I started riding with him. And after some time, I decided I'm gonna go and learn it, and I worked in it, and I worked with these kind of special programs for youth, horseback riding and horseback riding therapy, and I went deeper into studying it. Eventually, I decided to open my own business with horses. I brought special ponies from England to Israel, imported them specifically to do horseback riding therapy and also for handicap. I brought a very special carriage that can have also handicap people with a wheelchair go up on the carriage and have the experience of driving, which was very thrilling and it was very exciting. We had that for several years and had tours from all over the country come and do it, and it was wonderful.
Wow, sounds fascinating, really.
Yeah, that's so fantastic. What are the horses that you got from England? Is that like the special for like big ponies? Is that?
Yeah, actually, I got they're called Dartmoor ponies. They're very, very nice, very smart ponies. And later on, I brought some the bigger horses. Actually, I got a Clydesdale and a Shire horse in order to pull the big carriage, because I was also having the tours and I wanted many people also, and it was something very fantastic to see. And so I had the ponies, I have the big horses. Since the war broke out 2.5 years ago, actually, I left the Golan Heights. Originally, I'm from the Golan Heights. I worked with agriculture, and we moved to Evyatar.
Yes.
We were called for the mission. They needed us. Unfortunately, there was a terrible incident, a tragical incident. One of the former mayor of Evyatar was killed in a car accident. It was also a close friend of mine, and the day he died, we realized the situation, and we just the same day we moved to Evyatar, and since then we're there for 2.5 years. I have a beautiful family, a dear loving wife, and 9 children.
Mazel tov. Wow,
I
fantastic.
knew it was, yeah, our youngest is
That's
5 months old. Our oldest is 16. But we have
wow.
everyone gives a hand. They're all with us together, working and building and being very busy with Zionism and building new settlements.
Wow. Yes. Oh, I want to hear more about that. In addition to this, I am a holistic psychologist and I do also family constellation work. I've done it with horses as well. And I, of course, use also crystals here and there. So it's so interesting to have both of you together. So, Gila, about the
Tell
crystals.
us a little bit about the crystal
Yeah.
here in the school.
Okay. So it really is a totally fascinating field, and I could speak about it for hours. But basically, I don't know how many crystals, people are attracted to crystals that are actually good for them.
Yeah.
So there are all different crystals. I just happen to have a bunch on my desk, always. And people choose these crystals that are good for them. Each of the crystals have a meaning. And through somebody's choice of crystals, I understand what is going on for them. So I could see through from somebody's choice of crystals, nothing else. If God forbid, they have gone through some sort of abuse, parents have separated, all different things that I can see in their history and in their present situation. Okay, it's an incredible thing, and the different thing with me is I'm not the only one that does this, though there aren't very many people that work this way. But I do everything from the Jewish perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So I have my school. So obviously, the beginning, I spend time teaching people of the relationship between crystals and Judaism and how we look at this and how this was something that was used, for example, in the time of the Gemara, in the time of the Talmud. Women would carry a crystal called the Even Tukuma, okay? And they would have this stone and it would protect them from miscarriage. And so much so that it's talked about in the Gemara, in the Talmud, and it says that a woman on Shabbat, she could actually carry this stone because it prevents miscarriage. So in other words, at the time of the Talmud, they were using crystals. So I, teach a lot of that stuff, bring in all the Jewish sources as well, and teach people all about the crystals and do assessments. And I work a lot on the Zoom as well, which is a miracle from COVID, I have to say. I would never imagine it's such a thing.
Good side
And
effects.
then I discovered that people could actually choose their crystals over Zoom, and it's amazingly accurate.
Yeah.
So
It's so interesting
in a
that
nutshell.
That's so interesting that you combine that with Judaism. I have in addition also worked with essential oils, and there have also from Judaism are beautiful elements to add to it. So altogether, a lot of healing for us, right? The animals, stones.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Exactly.
All right. Well,
I come from a social work background, so it all works in.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Mhm.
Very fascinating. So I want you to ask, and either of you can respond, when was the Nachala settlement movement established and what are the goals of the organization?
I will go back. We just now celebrated 50 years for the first settlement in Shomron. 50 years for the first time when they went up the mountain. It was a movement called Gush Emunim, was led by Rav Levinger and Hanan Porat. And they came from the cities, from Kfar Saba, from Ramat Gan, from Tel Aviv, because back then Samaria was just a big, dark, empty mountain. And they started walking up and calling for the government to allow them to build new settlements. Just this past week, they celebrated the 50th on Hanukkah, 50 years for that they were actually allowed to build the first new settlement was Kdumim. So it was back then the Rav Levinger who brought up the idea and encouraged the people. He had also many people encouraging with him, but he was one of the main leaders of that movement. It was the same Rav Levinger who 20 years ago, immediately after the disengagement from Gush Katif, he established what was then called Noar Leman Eretz Israel, a group of youth people for the land of Israel. Mainly they were from Hebron, people who knew him personally, and he started to bring that idea back again to build new settlements. And that group developed and evolved, and eventually they called themselves Nachala. And so originally, I say we're the same idea, the same Zionist idea, maybe 100 years ago, more specifically built by the Rav Levinger, who was first heard of 50 years ago, but 20 years ago, actually, we started working. Immediately after the disengagement from Gush Katif, the first event which I actually took part of was Hanukkah. Maybe it was the second event. I think they had something on Sukkot, but the first Hanukkah after the disengagement, they built 24 settlements all scattered around Judea and Shomron. I was then 16 years old. I heard about it, and I felt after trying with other people trying to protest against the disengagement. So I felt that was the right thing to do, to go and build, and I joined, and I pretty much fell in love. I grew up in the Golan Heights, and I used to go all the time to Samaria, to Judea, to take part of those events. At the beginning, it wasn't as successful as today. We used to go up and try and build, and it didn't last for long. Many places and now are officially recognized as yeshuvim, like Moses Ter and like Evyatar, and many other were maybe evacuated, I don't know, 20, 30 times at least. It wasn't as simple back then. It was the whole movement of the country. The whole idea was to go out of Gaza first and then go out of Judea and Samaria. Thank goodness that idea is kind of forgotten now. No one will dare, after 7th of October, will dare to bring up seriously the idea of disengagement from Judea and Samaria. That will be disastrous for the state of Israel.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's a long answer to a short question.
Well, it's a great answer.
I want to add to your long answer. I just want to add in that together with Rav Levinger in 2005, it was Daniela Weiss that was also key to establishing the Noar Leman Eretz Israel, the youth for the state of Israel. And that's actually, my kids were involved. Everybody was so crestfallen and distraught after the disengagement. And instead of the spirit going down, the Rav Levinger together with Daniela, they brought the spirit up and said, okay, we're moving forward. And that's Nachala is always leading the way and moving forward.
That's so wonderful.
Does the word Nachala mean something?
Nachala means inheritance. God gave the land of Israel as an inheritance to the Jewish nation. So we talk about security, we talk about so many reasons that we need to settle this land, but it's all based on the fact that this is the land, the promised land of the Jewish nation that God gave to his people.
Well, it's a good name choice.
Actually, usually the parents try to teach their children and give them a certain way and direction, and the children follow in the parents' direction. So our direction was making Aliyah, coming and immigrating from Australia and living in Israel. And the land of Israel was always very important to us, and our kids saw that and understood those values. And we always lived in Samaria, except for the first couple of years that we came and we were finding our feet. We always lived there. So our kids just progressed further. And my son, who is a very good friend of Malkiel, my son married a young woman who was also involved in Nachala. So it's a beautiful story of romance as well, I have to tell you. And my daughter-in-law one day, she turned to me, and we were always backing them and helping them if they need help here or there and attending all of their events. And then one day my daughter-in-law turned around to me and she said, Gila, I need you to come with me. I'm traveling for Nachala overseas. I need you to come with me. So when your daughter-in-law asks you to go overseas with her, you say yes.
Yeah.
And the truth is, I'm so happy to be involved because one of my passions is Eretz Israel. I love it with all my heart, and so this has given me an amazing opportunity to do so many things that I feel really developing and making a difference in Eretz Israel for our
Wow.
homeland.
That's so wonderful. That's so amazing. So how did you get involved in Nachala? When did you start? How did that go?
So probably about 10 years ago. 10 years ago when I started to just travel overseas with my daughter-in-law, then we need to prepare materials and write and do and visit and know and have like a broad understanding. And the other thing is, you'll hear from Malkiel, I'm sure, when the yeshuv of Evyatar was established, okay, the community of Evyatar was established, there was like a very special window of opportunity. It was between the Netanyahu government and the Bennett Lapid government coming to power. And there were also riots in Lod at the same time. And there was also a murder. A young man was murdered. And the Nachala movement took advantage, said, this can't go on. We're going to go up to this mountain, which is very strategically located. And we'd had our eyes on and tried to settle it for many years. And the beginning of Evyatar, which was the first settlement to be established in Judea and Shomron in over 20 years. No new Jewish communities had been established in Judea and Samaria for over 20 years. And this was happening, and it happened at a meteoric pace. In the space of 3 months, there were 50 houses there. Okay. Now, they weren't quite built like my house or your house, but there were homes. There were 52 families there at the time. Roads were paved. There was kindergarten. Thousands and thousands of people came to visit. Now, my children, my daughter and son-in-law were extremely involved, and they needed to be there basically 24/7. And Daniela Weiss turned around to my daughter-in-law and said, you are on Miluim. You're going on reserve duty. We need you on reserve duty in Evyatar because she's incredibly dynamic, active, smart young woman who really knows, how to navigate the way. But they do have children. My son and daughter-in-law have children. So we started our reserve duty looking after the kids. And the kids basically moved in with us. And we just continued to get more and more involved.
Wow.
Right. So I have to say my work day, I have my own business, but my work day today is divided between part Nachala and part my business. And sometimes it's more Nachala than my business. But when you do things for Eretz Israel, for the land of Israel, you see rewards in all of your life.
And you're also a mother. That's also something, a work.
I'm a mom and a grandmother. Thank God. Thank God.
Fantastic. Yeah. That's absolutely a lot.
So what are some of the major milestones that Nachala has accomplished?
Okay, thank you. Nachala's agenda was to bring up the idea to build new settlements in Judea and Samaria. But it was so far away in the beginning, they didn't start just building. They started with people traveling because the atmosphere after the disengagement, the atmosphere in Judea and Samaria was that people are not allowed to walk outside of the gate. Most of the settlements are fenced, and you're not allowed to go out of the fence. As if you go out of the fence, you might get hurt because you're not protected. As if the fence is what's protecting you, but it's some kind of a mind barrier more than a physical barrier. So they started having these big walks, big travels, people just walking for 2-3 days, crossing Judea and Samaria, having and bringing the youth to be curious and to be involved. Though our goal was to build these settlements. We had dozens of settlements that were being built and had many difficulties in being able to hit roots. The first one, which was, I can say, the biggest achievement Nachala had after 15 years of being active, was Evyatar. Like Gila mentioned before, and briefly, Evyatar was established, unfortunately, after a tragical terror attack. Yehuda Guetta, he was a student in a yeshiva in Itamar. He was on his way to his yeshiva. A terrorist shot him and his friend, and he got killed. And the same night, we decided that the Zionist answer against terror is to build. And we moved on to Evyatar. We had people from all over the area join us, and we were able to make such a not only a statement, but actually physically a change. The government, for the first time, had acknowledged it, and they said, "Okay, you know what? We'll acknowledge it." They had their things they wanted to check. They wanted to make sure the legalization, and they wanted to make sure several stuff. But said eventually we'll recognize it. And the reason they did that was because we had thousands and thousands of people every day in Evyatar calling for the state, for the government to build. It was a new government. It was Bennett Lapid's government, and Nachala was able to encourage the government to recognize and build a new yeshuv, a new settlement after 20 years that no one was built. Now, just this week, the Bezalel Smotrich, the head of administration, he proudly said that this government acknowledged 69 new settlements. So Evyatar was the first. Evyatar started a storm, and the storm was only getting stronger and louder. And Bezrat Hashem, God's help, will be only pushing forward for many more settlements. And also, Nachala's next target is in Gaza. I'm bringing up a big chunk of what Nachala is doing, because Judea and Samaria is very important. But since October 7th, Gaza has been brought up to the kind of, if we understand that we belong in Gaza, and Gaza belongs to us, we also belong in Judea and Samaria. And if it's the other way around, God forbid, if we don't belong in Gaza, the question of are we allowed to be belonging in Judea and Samaria and in the state of Israel at all, is kind of questionable. So we're focusing very much since October 7th. We, Gila and I, Nachala movement, Daniela Weiss is very spoken about it. We have many very devoted people that are working. And like Gila mentioned before, last week we had a very, very special event. We wanted to rise a flag, the flag of Israel over the ruins of Nisanit. Nisanit is one of the 3 yeshuvim that were on the northern border. It's impossible to believe. It's only 200 meters from Netiva Asara. The Nisanit was destroyed in the disengagement, and it's so close. You can't even understand if it's so close. Why did you do that? But anyway, we asked to be allowed to put up the flag in Nisanit and declares that Gaza belongs to the Jewish state, to the Jewish people, and we actually we weren't allowed to do that. So we kind of did it, not exactly like that, but we kind of did it anyway. We went up with the flag. We went over the border. We lifted the flag when it said Gaza belongs to the Jewish people, and we went back.
Oh boy. So what you speak about in Judea and Samaria, is that what you call, is that what's called the area C? Or also in A and B?
Also A and B.
Also A and B, because that's very interesting because many people have so many ideas about it. I am raised in the Netherlands and I heard always the words occupation, settlers, colonists, and it was very negative. A lot of people have the idea that land is taken and stolen so much. Now, how is that when you have new areas? Is that like nobody's land? Are you removing Arabs? How are you guys go about that?
That's a really important question.
I know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Really, to clarify,
Mhm.
we A is the Arab area, B is where we have some administrative
Yeah.
role, and C is the Jewish area. When we settle land, okay, we settle in area C and we settle on Jewish land, okay, only on land. So Evyatar, when it was established, we had checked out and made sure that this land belonged to the state of Israel, okay? So we understood that and we knew that we could go there.
So if I may
Now,
interrupt you here, because it's very important. A lot of people don't get that. So area C and most of the spaces there were no Arabs living at all. It's totally like land that nobody was living on.
okay, I
Let
wish what you said was correct.
Oh.
Because unfortunately, the Arabs have a plan. Okay, they have a a plan that they're going to declare a Palestinian state in 2030, and they are going to build in Area C.
Mm-hmm.
And they are building in Area C. Okay, and
Mm-hmm.
Israel should be stopping it more, but they are building there, and we know that by creating our communities like Evyatar and our 30 other communities that we've actually established, we're stopping them from coming to Area C. When we establish our different communities, we do not uproot anybody. The land is not somewhere that someone has been living. Okay, it's not like we've come there and we've shoot out the Arabs that are living there and now we're putting our tents up. It doesn't work like that. There is an empty mountain that they may have their eyes on because they want to take over our land. So they have their eyes on that area and they want to take it over, but it's in Area C and there's no one there at the moment.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
What I'd like to ask you about that is the left-wing woke Israelis, they must have a problem with this. I'm assuming.
the Israeli woke left movement have a problem with
With
us
everything.
putting the hostages in Gaza. They have a problem with us fighting to defend ourselves, but they don't have a problem with the fact that Tel Aviv University sits on a Arab village that they were actually shooed away in 1948.
Mm-hmm.
Something about 1948, the Arabs declared war on the state of Israel. 6,000 Jews were killed in that war. We fought to defend ourselves, and we actually succeeded, surprisingly. And we've been able to do that again and again in 67 and 73, and also in October 7th. We were attacked and we were able to defend ourselves and save our lives. And for some reason, some people find it very aggressive that you are defending yourself and succeeding. And nowhere across the world, something like the precautions where Israel has been done not to hurt people that so-called bilti me'oravim, not I don't know how you say that in English.
Not involved.
Not
Not
involved.
uninvolved.
So-called innocent people. You don't have any innocent people in
Right.
Gaza. You don't have any innocent people that are protecting terror. And because we live in this modern Western society, so you're allowed to say whatever you want, and will never be held to the fact if it's true or not.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. And that is
I
exactly
think
what I hear what you say, the problem, because in so many news outlets and information I have, I was also thinking as a kid, it's not nice that they throw out the Arabs and that the Jews take over everything, in Judea and Samaria or the West Bank. And it was totally how it came in the news. And it's so unfair how the stories have an own life and not so truth-based.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
think that's one of the issues is the country, as you see, the country always ends up voting in the right wing, a center right-wing government. So the majority of the country is right wing. But the media projects something else, and the media is very strong. So it doesn't reflect the real opinion of the majority of
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
citizens of Israel.
I agree. And I think Haaretz does such a horrible job. I think, and that is taken over in Europe so much. Less information, the source of information. And it's, yeah, terrible.
Well, we have the same issue in the US and Canada as well. You have a small percentage of the woke left creating a big voice. And
Right.
it seems like they represent a large number of the population, but I don't believe that it does. I think that it's very easy for people to come to the conclusion that what the left is saying about Israel or whatever is correct, because that's the bigger voice. That's what you hear, because the media is very biased against Israel. So it's an unfortunate situation.
I
Yes.
am hoping that so many Jews will make Aliyah, right? And they say there might be like 3 million Jews coming, and I hope to be one of them, my kids.
Amen.
But
Amen.
yeah. But they're adults, so you know how that is. It's have made it. If your kids are young, it's easier. But the future will show that. Is Israel at the moment preparing to build a lot of homes, like also in Judea and Samaria? Is there the preparation of affordable housing, I would say, because a lot of people come and they don't have either way a job in Israel. Is there any information about that?
It's an interesting question. A few weeks ago, there was actually an exercise here to see how we would be absorbing all of the immigrants that will come if something happens and that we have a big influx of immigrants. So it's a very interesting. Israel is preparing, and I spoke with a friend of mine who's involved in real estate, and it's nighttime in Israel now, so I can't show you how the window in my room over here overlooks mountains in Samaria, magnificent mountains in Samaria, which are empty, which really we can build on. And I still see that in my issue, that where I live, my community is 30 years old or 30 years young, however you want to put it. And we have, beautiful homes. But now all the building that is done, not only where I live, but in all the various places in Judea and Samaria, they're building more in apartment buildings, nice size apartments and not high rises, but they're building more because in their mind, we need to know that there is the ability to absorb all of the immigrants that, please God, will come to Israel. So Israel is very mindful that we are the home of all the Jewish people.
Yeah, that I know, and I see a lot of advertisement of amazing apartments, but they're very costly. So that's not for everybody.
That's what I'm saying. Here is less costly, okay?
Yeah.
Bigger gardens, mountains, and affordable.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. So what do you say as a standard sentence if people say, well, it is Palestinian land, or it is they were there first, or the Arabs that lived there, you can whatever. What is your standard answer? What do you say, Malkiel, if you get that
I love
question?
that answer. I love that answer. Many times we have all kind of journalists coming to Evyatar, and we tour around and it shows them the place. And when you walk in Samaria, you can walk with the Bible open, and you can see where things happen. When the Bible mentions Avraham Avinu, Vayavo Avraham ad Makom Shechem ad Alon Moreh, he walks to Bethel. You see the places, you see the roots. It's a small country. Actually, Israel is a small country.
Super small.
Yeah, but you walk in Samaria, in Judea, you just follow the path of our ancestors. And the word Palestine was was actually created by the Romans.
Yeah.
They conquered Judea and they exiled us 2,000 years ago. We have been coming back to our home. For years, that word was forgotten because the country was occupied and conquered by one nation after another. For 400 years, it was held by the Ottoman Empire, the Turks. No one ever called it Palestine for 400 years. Only when the British came and they kind of tried to go back to give it a name. So they called it Palestine, Palestina. They called all the resident Jews and Arabs in Jordan, in the south of Israel. All of them were called Palestinian.
Yeah.
And the word is actually a Roman name. Our city next to us, Shechem, is called Nablus.
Yeah.
Where does the word Nablus come from? The Romans changed many of the names. Not only Judea, they changed also Jerusalem. They changed it to Ilia Capitolina. And the city of Shechem, they changed it into Neapolis. But Arabs cannot pronounce the letter P. So they turned it into Neapolis, which is Nablus. So it's a very, you don't need to be very high level of a detective to realize the bluff in it.
Right.
Palestinians, Arabs that live there in the country, there weren't that many 50 years ago. When Judea and Samaria was freed from Jordan, actually when it was in Jordanian hands, they didn't get their own Palestinian authorities. They were Jordanians. When the land was freed from the Jordanian, no Arab was actually exiled from Judea and Samaria, which isn't the case with Jews living in Arab nations, but no one really cares about that. You had 700,000 Jews exiled in 1948 from Arab country. No more Jews in Morocco, in Tunis, in Algeria, in Egypt, in Syria, in Lebanon. That's really insignificant. Nowadays, actually, Arabs work in Jewish factories in Judea and Samaria. Most of the workers in the factories, you can have a factory in around Ariel has 50,000, approximately maybe 50,000 workers that are Arabs coming from all over the neighbor villages. They actually are enjoying our presence, but they get salaries, they get work. I met a guy working from Ramallah. He was building the road underneath Evyatar, building a new junction. So I went up to him and I said, "Where are you from? How are you doing?" So he told me he's from Ramallah. So I asked him, isn't it a far way to go from Ramallah to Evyatar? You can find a job in Ramallah. He said, "Well, in Ramallah, I will be paid 50 shekels a day. Here, working by you for Jews, I will get 50 shekels for an hour." So actually, they enjoy, and Jews and Arabs drive the same streets. They also they work together in many places. The whole call of how you call the apartheid state actually kind of the opposite around, because you have big signs in various places saying Jews are not allowed to go.
No Jews, no Israeli passports. Yeah, I know, and you don't come out alive.
It's all backwards. So what relationship do you have with the Arabs from the neighboring cities and villages? And I mean, it's from what I hear that it's quite positive.
I'll be happy. I'm really happy for that question. I want to answer it also relating to the Oslo Accords that you mentioned earlier. Until Oslo Accords, Jews and Arabs lived very well together everywhere. To go to Bethel, you had to drive through Ramallah. I have my wife's aunt. She had her driving lessons in Aza, in Dir el-Balach, by an Arab driving teacher. Jews and Arabs went along very well all over the place. In Yericho, in Bethlehem, Jenin. Once they got the understanding that if they'll push harder and if they'll be more violent, they will get more and actually might have their own government. And they've been indoctrinated to do that and to go into violence by their own leaders, and which we actually made them. We supported them. We gave them the salaries, and we helped them. Since then, it's been kind of declining the 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 being able to work together and believe in each other's pure intentions. It has been dramatically losing its value since October 7th. None of the Arabs hid their excitement and their joy with what they saw flowing on the media. And since then, even lefties, even people that were very pro-Arab and working together, kind of feel not safe and not wise to do that anymore. So on one hand, we say in Hebrew, there's a common expression, say kabdeu v'shamreu. You have to respect him, but you have to be aware of him.
You have to be on your guard.
Exactly. You can never let your
Definitely.
guard down.
Right.
What I learned about the Waqf, like an Islamic law, right? That even if Muslims conquer land, they should never give it back. And that is a crucial problem in the situation, of course, because what I understood, one of the reasons that in the past they were negotiating with Arafat was thinking, oh, he's a secular Muslim, so we can do the thing with him. That might be, we might give him the 96% of the Judea and Samaria, the West Bank. And he walked away, as you of course all well know. But what do you feel in the future would that be? Because there are now like 2 million Arabs or Muslims on, let's say, the West Bank for now, or more even. How would that go in the future? Because it is, of course, a lot of tension and dangerous. Yeah.
Okay. One of the things that's very interesting, we didn't touch on this even, is one of our projects is land redemption, that we actually buy land from Arabs who would like to sell their land and they would like to emigrate. They're looking for a better life in Europe, in Canada, in the United States. So there are a lot of Arabs who want to leave. They are oppressed under the Palestinian Authority. It's not a good life, as Malkiel said. 50, which is the equivalent to like less than $20 for a day for labor. And it's very difficult for them. So many of them, if they have land, they want to sell. And we are being approached all the time to purchase this land. And we actually call it a win-win situation because we want to purchase land and we want to have Jewish people living there. And they want to sell their land and they want to leave. And we help them. We need to be clear that it's not so simple for an Arab to sell land to a Jewish person, because when they do that, they're under threat of the death penalty.
Yeah.
Okay. So have you ever heard in a different country, you sell your property and then you're eligible to be murdered? I mean, that's outrageous, but that's what it is. So if people sell land to us, we help them to have safe passage and to actually leave.
That's wonderful.
I think there's something very natural it will be, and there will be Arabs who will remain in Israel and abide by the laws of the country. There can be a positive relationship, as we said before the Oslo Accords and all these peace agreements. There was a relationship, much more relationship between Arab and Jews. So many people I know would do their shopping and have their cars dealt with in Ramallah, in Qalqilia, in all the Arab places. Today, it's not safe. So we can hope to get back to a safer situation of somehow, managing to live together. But they have to understand that this is the land that God gave to the Jewish nation. It belongs to us.
Yeah, and it is so small. And I personally say the world has nothing to say since it allowed and closed the doors to 6 million Jews to be murdered. I mean, come on. I don't understand why there is so much focus on Israel. Well, I think...
Yes.
Sorry?
Can I relate also?
Yeah.
You mentioned about the Arabs. First, the numbers are a bit more. They blow them up in order to spread
Political
despair.
story.
Yeah, something with the Arab culture they respect when you're strong.
Yeah.
As long as you're powerful, as long as you're strong, everything will go on very good. You'll
Yeah.
be safe, you'll be sound, they will respect you. We can't allow ourselves to be weak. Any kind of weakness, they see even being kind as being weak, they
Yeah.
will use it against us.
Yeah.
So we've been actually being has been very kind. The state of Israel has been very kind in any aspects they could, and for many Arabs that was kind of a they saw it as weakness.
Yeah.
We can't allow ourselves to be weak in the Middle East.
Yeah.
And thank goodness Israel is a very strong state, very small, but incredibly strong, has very resilient Jewish people in it, and we're not going anywhere. We're here. So if Arabs are willing to admit and are willing to respect that we're here and this is our state, this is our place, sure, we'll go along very well. And if they don't, they'll have to leave.
Amen to that.
So
Sorry?
there are so many Arab countries. There's one little Israel and so many Arab countries all
Yeah.
around.
And they're conquered of most of the time too. I mean, entire Africa is probably Muslim. I mean, where's that coming from? Right? So it is bizarre that those thoughts are not brought up. I want to be respectful of your time. And we do at the end of every interview, we have a round of that we share somebody that we can call it an anti-Semite, somebody that disappointed us very badly or very bad for Jewish people or Israel. And I would love to ask Rachel to start.
Okay, so the anti-Semite that I picked is the Prime Minister of Australia, Albanese, because he is responsible. The buck stops with him. He had countless warnings about violence against Jews, and he's been urged to resign. And he has been focusing on the removal of weapons that were used in killing, the Bondi Beach Jews who were celebrating Hanukkah, instead of focusing on the extreme Islamic radical ideology. So that's who I chose, Albanese.
Yeah, it's in the last name, right? We have another Albanese that we don't like.
Right.
His sister. Okay, Gila.
Well, I have to say, I also chose Anthony Albanese, okay? As an Australian citizen with family living there, I just felt that he did not read the writing on the wall. He didn't look after his citizens, and he holds a lot of responsibility for the terrible terrorist attack that took place there.
Wow. Yeah, it's sad. It's so funny to say, let's sharpen the laws for the guns, as if the guns are shooting themselves and not pulled over by someone. Like this is, yeah. Okay, Malkiel.
So I thought about Piers Morgan, and the reason is because he's been a very important social person. It brings a lot of voices, and he's been allowing a lot of anti-Semitism and lies flow.
Yeah.
If someone will have said nonsense about vegetarians, he will be very immediate, cut it down. But if someone just pours lies and nonsense about Jews, he's like, okay, that's your idea. You're allowed to say it. Someone else is allowed to deny. He plays it as if it's a game, as if it's cool, and has actually been allowing a lot of anti-Semitism flow. There are many more like him, but for many times I heard him. Since the beginning of the war, he kind of had this so-called objective point of view. I felt from the beginning that he had allowed any lies to go, and I felt, and later on he was kind of going loudly about it.
Yeah.
Anyways.
He has been attacked about that too, and I so agree with you. Well, I have a shocking one that is not so shocking, but it's still shocking, and that is Candace Owens. She comes with a new story, and I know about that book. I have seen it a few years ago. Somebody wrote a book that most of the slave owners were Jews and the slave traders were Jews, and that is a book filled with lies. And of course, she got into those stories, and she is now publicly speaking a lot about slave owners were and are Jews. And it's such a disgusting lie. It's like unbelievable. And she has so many followers in a certain way, like Piers Morgan too, but she has so many followers that are so badly educated about the whole situation and follow blindly what she says. It's like if you have had everything and you get this. So that is my scumbag of the week. Let's go to the positive, Rachel.
Okay, I picked Dr. Phil. I don't know if Gila and Malkiel are aware or familiar of who he is. He's a very highly regarded, well-known TV host who has a background in psychology, and he has a huge following. And he, in fact, recently had a rabbi and his daughter from Sydney, and another lady who witnessed the Bondi Beach attacks. But the thing about him is that he's very pro-Israel, and that he doesn't let people try to con the audience with the pro-Hamas, pro-Palestinian message. So he's very vocal, and that's a great thing because so many celebrities are not, like the 200, including Paul Simon, Jewish, who signed for the release of Marwan Barghouti from jail, the murderer. So when you have a celebrity that has a large following like Dr. Phil, and he's pro-Israel, then I'm very happy about that. We need more like him.
Yeah, loud and clear. Thank you. Gila.
So I would like to not say my hero is Daniela Weiss. She is the leader of our organization, the chairperson of our organization. She is 80 years young, one of the most vibrant women, one of the most vibrant people that I know, and she leads the way fearlessly. When Malkiel talked before about the settlement, the first settlement of Kedumim in Samaria, it was her, and she lived there with her children in a tent, and she has never stopped fighting the battle for the land of Israel, to settle all parts of Israel, and leading the way with her determination and strength and vibrance and intelligence to settle all parts of Israel. And her determination, together with our whole movement, I believe, will lead us to settle also Gaza, resettle the Gaza.
Wow, wonderful. Thank you, Malkiel.
It's a very tough question, who's your hero, because there could be so many. I'm going to pick a specific one, but the atmosphere in Israel is almost, you walk around and everyone around you is a hero. You have the reserves, people going to the army again from job, and you have the families, the wives that stay home and pick up and deal with everything that's left behind, and you have the people just living the life, but with all the difficulties that are going around. So you have so many heroes, but I wanted to pick actually one that isn't Jewish. His name is Masab Hassan Youssef, known as the Green Tree.
Oh yeah.
What is unique about him is that he's been able to show the false narrative about all this Palestinian story, and he isn't you can't say he's doing it for any kind of interest besides the interest of good, the interest of truth, and the world kind of can't deal with him. No one can do it because he is so pure and so true, and he's been very helpful in saving many Jewish lives and many also Palestinian lives, and he's a phenomena that should be acknowledged, that if you want to be good, and you need to stick to the truth and stick to Israel, because where's the good?
Yeah. And thank you for mentioning him. I remember that he was invited to speak for the European Union, and 2/3 walked out.
They don't want to hear. They don't. They know what he's going to say. They
It's
know that.
disgusting. I'm not even sure they
Yeah,
know a
dude.
lot of it. They follow whatever they have to follow. It's just so disgusting. Well, I have two heroes, and I know there are many heroes in Israel, but actually I decided to choose you guys because you live the example. You are inspirational. This wonderful movement of Nachala. It's like, yeah, fantastic. And thank you so very much. So you're my heroes for
Thank you.
today.
Thank you.
very
I'm
much.
honored. Totally
Yeah.
honored.
You better are
Wow.
because you are a hero.
You're so
Well,
sweet.
thank you so
Thank
very
you.
much. And thank you for watching. And I hope you will subscribe to our channel. And I see you the next time in the next videos. Take care. Bye-bye. We have a small request, and you probably know what it is about. But we have this very interesting situation that 91% of our returning viewers do not subscribe, but they are returning. So they must like it. And that would be great if that is you, if you will be so kind to subscribe, eventually leave a like if you like the video, or even leave a comment, that's even nicer, or have a request. That would be great to hear from you. But please support our work by subscribing. Thank you so very much. That would be such a favor to us.